Hi, welcome. This is the first video in English concerning the truth about cosmetics website at the French called La Vérité sur les cosmétiques. I'm going to present you the general history of this project and also maybe give you a bit more of the background information and general introduction into the subject. The truth about cosmetics, I'm going to talk more about the French initial project because it is a French initial project, but in a way it's also a European project because at the beginning there was the German journalist called Rita Steens who's been writing books about cosmetic subjects for more than 20 years now. And even more because she started in the late 19th. She wrote a book called Kurs pour Naturkosmetik in German, which was translated in French in 2001, as far as I remember. That's the book, La Vérité sur les cosmétiques. That's the initial project. It was a book that turned into a website. The initial French website dates back to 2009, and around that time, I think it must have been like in 2010, there was also an initial German and English equivalent to that website. Rita Steens has been a real milestone in terms of critical approach towards cosmetics in France, although she was German. But initially, what happened is that the subject, like the controversial subjects or also the more critical approach towards conventional cosmetics was not as strong as in Germany. That's just got to do with the general, also more ecological background in Germany. And basically what happened is when she brought out her book in 2001, that was the first edition, it was sold mainly in organic stores, and some people knew about the subject. And basically what she does in that book is giving like a general introduction in terms of cosmetic subject, but she also has this complete listing. Well, this is of course not a complete listing, but a listing, an exhaustive listing of cosmetic ingredients that are explained and also evaluated with an evaluation that has been done with the scientific counselors. And this critical approach was more or less well known in the organic field, but then we had in France in 2005 we had a TV show called Envoyé Spécial that did a documentary on cosmetics, and that had a very critical approach about cosmetics, and that was quite unusual because we didn't know how it would be handled. And then when the documentary came out, suddenly the subject just reached a higher level. It just got really widespread, so that because the subject about controversial ingredients in cosmetics was shown on TV, suddenly it just reached a far larger audience. And this is when Rita Steens decided to turn also this project into a website. So it was a real reference. It's always been a reference in France because she was the first one to have this approach. She was the first one also to launch a website in this field. And basically this is a website that's been used by end consumers, that's been used also by press, by journalists as a reference, and also even like by professionals themselves, because I've come across like people who have their own brand and who told me that they would always check if with the Inky search database, they would check if their ingredients or their formulations were okay or clean. So Rita Steens did run this website for a long time, and a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, she was more involved in different subjects back in Germany, and she had less time to do all this necessary research and investigation, and so she was slowly turning down the volume, and eventually she was going to give up the project. And this is when she asked me if I was willing to take it over. I've been working with her before. I've been translating some of her work, so I knew her quite well. And I am, on the other side, I run my own PR company. I work specifically for the organic sector, so I wasn't quite sure if that was a right fit for me. But then I did not want this project to go down the drain. So this was my main motivation to take over the project 2 years ago. And this is it. So I took over the project. What is interesting maybe for the English speaking audience is that for the time being, the content is more active on the French side. I will gradually be translating articles as well, but what is accessible now for everyone already is the database, the Inky research database, where you can just put in ingredient by ingredient your own product list, and then you get the whole, you can sort of create a whole profile for your own product and therefore check your cosmetic ingredients. Here we go. Looking forward to interact with some of my English-speaking audience as well, and hopefully I'll get into translating more of the content soon. Speak to you soon. Bye.